What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a classic Hoot and Holler, an OG story. Hey, hope you guys enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do, and also don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. You're not going to regret it. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Only Gas merch is available, along with all the other merch. We got the Let's Go Skiing hoodie from my Blow Addicts. We got the Goblin logo hoodie. We got phone cases, mugs, all sorts of different stuff. It's beautiful. Have a look at the merch site. Even if you don't want to buy anything, just go take a look. Go have a gander. Hey, clicking on the site, even just that benefits me. Go have a look. But hey, I appreciate you guys for the support. If you guys do cop some merch, please tweet me a screenshot of the purchase or something so I can show love. I appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. So, this took place a very long time ago. This happened way back in the summer going into my junior year. So this was actually at the very end of my sophomore year of high school. And for those of you guys who are OGs, you might remember, during this era, I was a little thief, right? I would go steal all the time. I would rob liquor stores left, right, and center. Not liquor stores, but grocery stores that sold liquor. They were very easy to steal from, right? But on this particular day, my intent was not to steal, right? At this point, I was driving my old car, which we nicknamed the House. Those of you guys who are OGs, you remember the House. It was a little two-door Honda Accord. It was fucking awesome, and I crashed the shit out of it. But we called it the House because I lived in it with a friend of mine for like a week, and it was really awesome, dude. We lived on McDonald's, and we just slept in the seats. It was awesome. But hey, it was a blast. But back on topic here. So I hop in my car, and on this particular day, I linked up with my buddies Alec and Eric. Alec is a character he's fairly frequent in some of my past high school stories, and he was well known for being the fake ID of our friend group, right? He had an older brother who had an old ID that was still not expired, that he just let him use, right? I don't know where the fuck, I don't know why this guy had an ID that was still valid that, his brother would just take. I don't know if he had a duplicate ID, but nevertheless, he had an ID. Or actually, it was probably like a state ID and driver's license situation. Either way, doesn't matter. So, he would always go around with his brother's ID. And it was fairly comparable, right? I wouldn't say they looked identical, but he could pull it off most places. There was really virtually nowhere that he got trouble for this. And this liquor store that we went to was one place that we actually frequented a lot. Alec would go in there, and he would, would pass every time. So we link up and we decide that we want to get drunk, right? We're trying to get fucked up. So we go to the liquor store, right? We go to the liquor store. I pick them up and we go to the liquor store. And once we get there, Alec goes inside. And myself and Eric, we're chilling in the parking lot and we're hanging out, right? And we were already smoking a blunt. We had maybe the, last half of the blunt to ourselves while he was in the liquor shop, pardon me, right? So we're chilling in there smoking this blunt, chatting a little bit, and we're parked up, and we're right in front of the store, but we're kind of across the lot, right? All the front row parking is taken, so we had to park kind of in the middle of the parking lot. So there's a bit of a walk to get from the door of the store to the car. Alec comes running, I mean fucking flying out of the door, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking, this man literally, 1 second, I looked up and the door was closed. Then I looked down and I ashed my fucking blunt, or, I look over, look away, ash my blunt. The next second, the door's open and this man's flying. And in his arms, he has this little display rack full of shooters. And I'm like, what the fuck, just went down in there? So he comes flying out with that, right? And I'm like, oh shit. And Eric looks up and he just starts dying. Eric's laughing. He's like, what the fuck is, what is going on? What did he do? So I, of course, I get the car ready, right? I position myself. I put her in drive. I'm like, okay, he's coming running up to the car. And homeboy comes running out after him, the liquor store guy. Now, at the time, I didn't know this liquor store guy, but once I got a little older, I started going to this store because I learned that they didn't card certain people. But back in this day, they carded everyone I knew, I wasn't in good with the right people to go to this shop yet. So, homeboy, my man Alec got chased out of the fucking store, right? He comes flying out, and this cashier dude, whoever the employee was, comes flying out behind him. Middle-aged man, pretty old. He had a little polo shirt on with some jeans. The man literally, I have this mental image burned in my head, bro. Listen, every time he ran, whenever he lifted his arm up to take a stride, his belly was hanging out of that fucking polo, dude. That shit was sagging out of that polo, bro. It was funny. This man was hairy, bro. This man was built, dude. I'm talking, man, hey. Mandem better not have had any type of customers left back in there, ladies and gentlemen, because they're probably hitting licks too, okay? Because this guy was slow, all right? I'm talking, he came flying out, but it wasn't like a threat. It's not like him sprinting was like, oh my God. It was like, there, oh, there he is, and by the time he even came out of the door, Alec was basically at the car, right? So he hops in shotgun, he hops back in, and I skedaddle, I speed off, and he's adjusting his seat, to give Eric some room to sit, and we speed off, and I'm sitting there, and I'm laughing my ass off just, like, watching this. I'm like, bro, like, what happened? Like, what the fuck did you do, right? And Alec's sitting in my car, he's kind of catching his breath, and he's like, bro, he carded me and he said, like, there's, like, he didn't fold. Like, he said, this isn't me, right? And I was like, well, don't we, like, we go to the shop all the fucking time. So I was like, why'd that happen now? And he's like, I don't know, but, like, it's usually not that fucking dude when we go. And I was like, okay, that's probably the old cranky owner dude who actually cares, Well, actually, no, you know what? With those kind of shops, the majority of the time, it's the owner old dude who actually doesn't care. It's usually the younger ones who are kind of pricks, but the older ones actually usually don't give a flying fuck, now that I think about it. It's vice versa. But I digress. Either way, he's like, bro, like, he carded me and called me out. And listen, if you really looked at his ID, you would know, like, that's not him. Like, if you looked at the facial features, that's not him. Plus, his brother was, like, 23 or some shit, and we were all, like, 16. So, if you really cared, like, you could very obviously tell, like, oh, that's not him, you know what I'm saying? But the majority of these shops just look at the birth date and nothing more, They don't really give a shit. But, like, my man did not look 23. He had no facial hair. None. Not a speck of it, dude. Literally zero. Like, he did not look... I mean, he was short, dude. I honestly don't know how he pulled it off in some of these shops. I really don't. But either way, he's got this display thing full of shooters. And God, listen, they're fireball. They were fireball shooters. But back then we were in high school. So I was like, you know what? That'll work. So now we got these shooters. And we're trying to figure out something to do. We got these shooters. We're hitting people up on Snapchat. We're like, yo, we got some of these. But we realized really quick, we only have like 10 of them, right? And there's 3 heads in the car. Realistically, all of us will maybe get mildly tipsy if we each drank 3. If we broke it even on 3 heads, right? So we needed more liquor. The problem was our spot, obviously, we just got chased out of. And listen. We were going to go to another liquor store. But of course, I have a little evil streak, okay? I have a little demon streak at this point in me, okay? There was nothing that gave me more satisfaction than stealing liquor. So this liquor store was maybe 2 blocks over from the grocery store that I frequented and stole from all the time. I was like, boys, let's just go steal some more. Then we'll go slide on a function. We have nowhere to go right now anyways. Why not? And the boys all agreed, right? Alec and Eric, they're like, yeah, for sure. So we go park up at this grocery store and we roll up a blunt. And I remember we were sitting in the car bumping some music, just chatting, The boys, they each took a little shooter. I took one of them. Hey, I didn't get wasted, but I took one, I'll admit, My blood alcohol was not 0, but I was not drunk, right? I smacked my shooter. We all smacked on, a little victory shooter, if you will, right? A victory shooter. But we smack those and we're sitting in the parking lot. We roll up a blunt. And man, that's just how it was back in high school. Nowadays, I feel like you always got to have something to do to hang out. Whenever you ask someone to hang out, they're like, yeah, what are we going to do? But back in the day, you could ask someone to hang out. And that just meant like, yo, let's just go sit in a car. Or like, yo, let's go stand in a parking lot and smoke joints, Like just some dumb shit like that. Those were the days, telling these stories. It makes me really nostalgic for those days sometimes. Like I do miss it. But back on topic. So we're chilling in the car, feeling good, rolling up a blunt, right? We spark up this other blunt, and we're hotboxing the house, bro. One of my favorite things about this car was how it's hotboxed, too. Like, you literally, one blunt, you couldn't see out the windshield because it had a very tiny cabin. It was awesome, but we're smoking this bitch out. We're getting bussin'. And I'm like, all right, boys, I'm going to get in there, right? So I leave my car running so they can bump some music, and I hop out of the car. And I go into the grocery store. And this grocery store, like I mentioned before, this is one that I stole from basically all of the time, right? Like this was the spot. I've mentioned this plenty in the past, but I always like to mention it whenever I talk about this place. I stole so much chicken. So this grocery store had a chicken stand. And whenever I would steal liquor, I would try to get some chicken too, because the boys are going to be drunk and they're going to want some food. So they used to have this little stand where they would take their like chicken wings and rotisserie chickens and put them out. And it was right by the door. So they had these buckets under it, right? So I used to go in there, grab the bucket of chicken first. I'd grab the chicken first, and then I'd go to the liquor, and then I'd run out. If I wasn't getting liquor, then I'd just go in there, grab a bucket, fill it up with chicken, and walk the fuck out. I did it so many times that they started posting like a security guard there. It was not an employee. Like, there was literally a uniformed security guy standing by the chicken thing. It was fucking crazy. Granted, it was by the door, so yeah, you could argue he was watching the door, but like, bro, he was maybe 5 inches away from the chicken stand and a solid 10 feet away from the door, okay? Like, this was a chicken stand guard, okay? And I take credit for that, but I digress. So, back on topic here, right? I go into the store, and I go back to the liquor aisle, right? I go straight to the liquor aisle, and I'm like, baby, what are we getting today? I'm having a look around, and, at this point, they still didn't have alarms on a lot, and this grocery store also had a giant alcohol selection. I'm talking virtually any beer you could dream of, including IPAs, a shitload of alcohols, all sorts of flavors. So I'm looking around, and I'm trying to look at some of the alcohols that don't have alarms, because this store, for some, like, they had a very weird alarm layout. Like, they had some bottles with alarms that shouldn't have them. Like, for example, they had what was it, like Sky Vodka, I think, some shit like that. Like that. They had cheaper shit. They had one really absurd one. I think it was like New Amsterdam had a fucking alarm on it, dude. And I was like, bro, I promise you no one's going for that. I guarantee if they're stealing, it's not New Amsterdam, okay? I hate to break it to you. Y'all are wasting your resources. But either way, so I'm looking through here, and I'm having a look around, and I realized I forgot to ask the boys what to get, but I don't really have time for that. So I figure, you know what? Eric, I know he drinks dark liquor. He loves a whiskey. Alec will drink whatever. Me, I'll drink whatever as long as it's free. So I'll grab us a little whiskey. So I go over there, and I'm looking at the whiskeys, and I go with the classic. I think it was Bullet. How the fuck do you say it? I don't drink a ton of those other whiskeys, right? I'm googling this, dude. What is it? Bulleit? Is it EIT? Yeah, Bulleit. That's how you spell it. Bullet? How the fuck do you pronounce it? I don't know, dude. Is it just bullet? Like, do you just say bullet? I don't do, but the I, bruh. That's fucked up. Either way, that's fucked up, dude. Whoever came up with that brand name's a dirty prick. All right, so I stole that shit. All right, I stained that shit. I grabbed that bottle, and I went straight for the door. Here's my stealing tip of the day, okay? If you're stealing, once you have it in your hands, you need to go, right? You need to realize, like, for example, with alcohol, any loss protection agent looking on the camera, seeing me walk in and grab a bottle, knows as soon as I touch that bottle that I'm going to steal it, because I'm obviously not an adult, right? Clearly, blatantly. So as soon as you grab that bottle, it's go time. And that's what I did every single time. I went in there, I grabbed the bottle, and as soon as I did, I would just beeline to the door. And luckily, there was 2 entrances. There was one by the side with the chicken, right? And then there was one entrance on the side with the alcohol. And I would just book it right out of that alcohol side entrance and walk straight back to my car every time. And that's exactly what I did. I booked it right out. I walked straight back to my car. The boys were there waiting. I bust out the bottle. I was like, gents, we're getting lit today. They're like, yeah, they're dapping me up. They're like, thank you, bro. Good looks, And in exchange for that, they were hooking it up. They were smoking me out, I was tapping their blunts. I ran out of weed later through the night, and they were just smoking me out all night, in exchange for drinking them down. It was a fun old time, We all got fucked up, nice and crossfaded, and it was bussin'. But, man, let me tell you, the liquor store licks were never ending, dude. After we got that bottle, I remember we sat there, and we finally found some plans, dude, and we had a bussin' night. We showed up at the liquor. We were the boys at that event. We were the boys at that function, pulling up with the quality drinks. But, hey, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the merch at the top of the description. I will see you guys next time. Peace.